this computer. All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome. This is episode 3 of Pop Talk. I'm Professor Nims, serving as your host and moderator. I'm joined with my man, Coach Dave. Give us a shout.
Roof, roof.
Bosston Jarod, don't forget the S.
What up?
And my man, the Casual Ran.
So what's up?
And together, we are the Pundits of Pugilism, and we are bringing you Pop Talk. So we got a lot to dive into for this past weekend, and then there's a kind of plethora of fights that are coming up in the weekend of December the 4th. So a little bit of the agenda before we kind of deal with some other things. So we're going to talk about the Teofimo flop, which I think that's the only way to really describe that. We got the Fulton versus Figueroa war. Ogawa wins a vacant title. And then this weekend, we have Haney versus Diaz on Friday. We also have Arthur versus Jarod. And then we're going to close out the weekend with Tank versus Cruz. So a lot to get into for this. Now, one thing that y'all notice that I'm dressed in black, that, and it's just, it's not just because I'm fresh, I try to keep it that way, but it's symbolic because I am dressed in black because I think I just witnessed the death of Teofimo as a potential superstar in boxing. It may seem dramatic, but you have to remember, I was the person that was in his corner, right? I thought that was the best, even though his father talks a lot, the best father-son combo because of the results. They beat another father-son pound for pound combo in Lomachenko. Not only that, had stopped Richard Comey, who was a legitimate lightweight champion, was undefeated, really showed flashes of brilliance in the ring at some points, and had just the kind of physical abilities that are kind of once in a generation. And I think was able to display a very high boxing IQ. But since he beat Lomachenko, it's rarely that I've seen a fumble on this level where you try to undercut top rank, or not even undercut, but try to kind of go on your own with Triller. You took it to a purse bid that went out the window. You went inactive. You kind of stayed inactive while everybody else was kind of fighting and making a name for themselves. You lost a lot of money. Not only that, you went through some kind of mental health issues that I do appreciate him being very honest about and forthright, and some other challenges. But to come back with this performance, which I thought was really embarrassing. And he looked embarrassed. He would kind of look at the camera and kind of smile, like this embarrassed grin. He has a long road to climb up. And I'm glad he has a renewed kind of faith, it seems like, in God and Jesus Christ, and there's something that he had talked about. And I think that's very important, because to me, his kind of his chance to be a superstar are really dead. He can be resurrected. There are some things that he can do. But I'm gonna go ahead and open up the floor and all that. But I will take this. I thought Randy was eating a lot of crow last week, and I would I was somebody who was solidly in the corner of Teofimo, even though I did not really appreciate a lot of the tactics of his father. I thought he was somebody who was able to achieve a lot of things kind of in spite of that. But this right here was just an abject failure on one of the highest proportions. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor.
Yeah, it looked like it looked like he was unprepared. It looked like he was really trying to push the envelope early. It really looked like he was going for a first round knockout just because he said he was going to do it and not because of any kind of strategy that him and his pops worked out. Yeah, I mean, I had heard about all the outside the ring issues that were leading up to the fight. Yeah, it was it was a close fight. I think Kambosos is a little bit better than I think the mainstream boxing media and fans like us maybe gave him credit for. But yeah, definitely not. Shouldn't have been good enough to beat Teofimo. His pops needs to go. That dude, I mean, listening to the fight, listening to some of the advice he was given during the, in between rounds, nothing useful. Hurry up and fuck him up and all that stuff. That's not. I mean, and yeah, not a whole lot more I got to say than that. I mean, it was just.
Yeah, that's a good point.
His pops needs to go.
Yeah, and it's good. Like it's good. I think it's good to end with Coach Dave because that work in the corner was and I'm gonna throw it to you, Randy. But at one point after the first round, this was in like a 3-second interval, but he had one of the kind of the most what is that kind of hypocritical, well, not hypocritical, but like statements that really did not kind of coalesce. When he came out there, he was like, like take your time, like slow down, da. And then a second later, yo, F this guy up. And then I'm like, what are you, like, how does that translate to anything? But yeah, so go ahead, the casual ran, and then we'll
so first off, I wasn't eating crow last week. I think I handled myself well, and time will tell that my visions were correct. Second, speaking of last week in our topic and then bringing it in this week, Earl Spence sent out a tweet that I think resonates, and by you saying that like Teofimo has nowhere else to go or can't become that superstar. I think Spence's tweet shows kind of faith into him. He sent out a tweet saying, "Good boxers don't jab, great boxers do." And then I guess he said, "Go back to that fight." And he's like, "Man, if you would have just sat down and start, use a dominant jab throughout the fight, it would have been a totally different turnaround." But second, I want to bring up, I think the time off. Well, let me go back. My predictions last week, everybody here predicted Teofimo was gonna win, but I put a caveat saying that Kambosos have haymakers. He do bring that thump. He fights. I think that time off, all the postponement of the fight, did Kambosos great and didn't do Teofimo well. You can see. After the fight, word got out that Kambosos has been a long time a sparring partner with Manny Pacquiao. If you look at that fight, you'll see Manny combos being thrown by Kambosos like several times in that fight, and you'll see him come in and just throw those Manny combos and jump back out. And then I was like, dang, he look. And then after the fight, a day or two later, it comes out that he was sparring a lot. He sparred a lot throughout the years with Manny Pacquiao, and it shows. But I'll say what the future brings for him a little later.
Yeah, he's before we go today, definitely there was a lot of respect that is that Kambosos garners within the fight community. He had a very kind of touching and emotional moment with Andrade and some other ones. So he's somebody who does which I thought some of his behavior was kind of below the bar and everything, but I did respect him as a kind of a sportsman, and the delusional Lopez, father and son. I don't even want to kind of speak on that, but like Dave, you can kind of bring this home for us, Coach Dave.
Yeah, man. So, so in a nutshell, to be honest with you, man, from Jarod, what Randy said, and then kind of like what you guys said, honestly, I think all you guys hit it on the head. The reason why I think it is an issue of, and I can't wait till we get to what's next with Teofimo, but just kind of before I get my take on, I kind of need to allude a little bit to what I'm thinking. Hey, look, on any given night, that's the beauty of this sport. On any given night, you could get lumped up. that's just it. So I think there was a lot of, Teofimo mentally, I don't know if he was there. I don't think people really paid a lot of attention to, and I think it might have been Randy or whoever had mentioned the stuff prior to the fight. That, him opening up about anxiety and just, if you go back and look at some of all the stuff that he was on record of saying, his mindset might not have been there. And I don't know who it was that had mentioned something about his father going or the hypocrisy in it. Man, there was. I mean, I just could not put together the fight plan for Teofimo beyond I'm gonna knock this guy out in the first round. Like I honestly watched the fight. I watched it twice. I honestly could not see a solid fight plan from that camp. And when I say I couldn't see it, I was like, okay, what you doing? To the point to where it just, for Teofimo, it seemed like it just got into survival mode, try to get him back. But that Kambosos camp, hey man, I'm gonna punch a lot. I'm gonna try to get everything back, and I'm gonna use my distance, and I'm gonna try my best to outpunch this dude. That I mean, it was clear where this guy was at. It was clear about what that corner was doing. And then somebody mentioned, because we don't get a lot of insight into what's going on in that corner, which I love. Sometimes some of the stations will do this thing called corner talk, and kind of lets you hear a little bit of it. But from what I could pick up on it, I didn't see a whole lot of adjustments or anything coming from Teofimo and them. So again, for me, it went down to a solid execution of a strong fight plan. And then of course the guts and the will, this cat just came to fight, man. I don't know if I would be wearing black saying that Teofimo is out. We've seen, fighters, such as of course, Tyson Fury, that kind of came back from whatever anxiety and depression and stuff that was going on. Old school, we saw fighters that didn't come back, like Donald the Cobra Curry, when he, he's lost his sister and something happened with his mom, and it mentally, it just, Mike McCullough knocked him out, and he couldn't regroup from whatever mentally and emotionally was going on. I think that there are still several fights out there, though, for this guy to rise. We just don't know if that joker was just a one-off. He got cocky, he got arrogant. I'm fighting about money. I'm, the hell with this promotion company. I'm gonna try to go. I mean, it's like he almost just kind of started smelling himself. And humble pie is served up on any given bout. Humble pie can be served up on any given fight match. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So to break it all down, I honestly could not tell a fight plan. I tried to watch. I tried to look for adjustments. Unless I just missed something, man, I don't know what that corner and Teofimo was doing. Cambosa, that boy came with a plan. Yeah, Pacquiao, whoever mentioned it. I mean, that boy came with a solid plan, and I thought it was executed very well, man. So that's my take on it. But I watched the fight twice. He lost that fight. Period.
Oh, he did.
He
I
lost
watched
that
it.
fight.
I watched it at least twice, maybe 3 times. I watched it at least twice.
It was
a
close
good
though.
fight. No,
It was a
it
competitive
was
fight.
it was definitely a close fight, but I thought he was the clear winner in the round and it was close because Teofimo was able to take rounds sometimes really just through his sheer like will and like physicality and doing those things, but Cambosa,
He almost had him out of there. I mean, he had him hurt bad
Yeah,
in that
he almost had him out
ninth
of there.
round or the 10th round.
ninth and 10th round, but
the judges were a little biased also. You know that when Teofimo got knocked down, they still had that a 10-9 round. But when
I was going to ask y'all about that. I was going to ask y'all about that. How y'all
Cambosa, it
scored
was
that.
a 10-8. So yeah, that was a little shady.
I don't
Two
know if it
judges
was
had it.
shady. I mean, and
To me,
this brings up an interesting question
that's a
because I was
10-8
going to
round.
ask y'all about judging. I didn't see Cambosos really do anything in that first round aside from the big counter right hand. So
It
if you
doesn't
have-
matter. It doesn't
Well-
matter. This is not MMA. This is boxing. So it's just like with Tyson Fury, he can outbox Wilder. If Wilder drops him, that's a 10-8 round. This is
It's
one of the
automatic.
things that these are like what we call in engineering kind of rules of thumb.
Is it though? Is that what the book says? I mean, on judging and officiating? I don't know.
It's not with the books. It's a rule of thumb in the sense that it's really understood by people within.
Well, that's not how we should be scoring rounds. There's rules and
No, it is.
regulations to scoring. So I don't know. I'm
No,
asking.
I mean, obviously, like your point is true because they did not adhere to what I thought was the rule, and I would have scored that 10-8. You did all of that, but at the end of the round, you got dropped, and it was legitimate because he tried to hold himself up. He couldn't.
Oh hell yeah! He caught him with a clean. That was a flush.
That was
over
clean.
counter right hand.
So
that was a great shot. I was talking to somebody at work today. It said it was a flash knockdown. I said there wasn't no flash knockdown, homie. He tagged.
And he
tagged the shit out of him.
He had trained and planned for that exact punch.
Planned that. He was like,
He had
yo,
planned
hit him
for that
as hard as
exact
you can
punch.
with an open hand.
So how
You know what I'm saying?
how do you
It's
not
gonna
give
change the
somebody
game
a
plan.
10-8 round for like somebody comes out, the fierce physicality, do all that, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna find an opening. Not only do you not execute it, but you drop the dude, you put him on his butt. That's a 10-8 round, in my opinion.
Hey, not only that, too. Look, Jared, man, look, some y'all let's don't get caught up in cliches and all that shit like this, man. Because that like what you just said. So explain to me or define a flash knockdown in this
Oh yeah,
sweet sign.
I didn't say it was a flash knockdown.
If the glove you go down, your ass is knocked down. So no cliche. If the glove hits you and you fall from a punch, your ass is knocked down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know what you argue with me about. I'm just saying
a flash knockdown as if it wasn't supposed to take it down to a 10-8. A knockdown is a knockdown. If you're losing a round, that's 10-9. You get put on your ass, bruh, that's 10-8 round.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with
So,
you.
yeah, and so like we're kind of old school or whatnot. I don't want to give out 8, but for us, that's just kind of understood. With that said, we don't want to dwell on it too long.
Right.
So there was a lot of good fights on that card. So I do appreciate that. One is we want to give attention to Fulton versus Figueroa. So help me say that I am terrible with
Figueroa?
Figueroa, yeah.
Which one did he fought? The
Figueroa.
younger one, right? That's
Yeah.
Was it Omar or Brandon he fought?
Brandon.
He fought Brandon. Omar's the 130-pounder or the 35 pound.
Yes. So there is some sense about a robbery. I don't think this fight really gets to the extent of a robbery in a sense. It was a very close fight, but I think when there is somebody who is seen as a side within the fight and they do get the decision, then it is seen that really that person, the other person probably did a little bit more, particularly if it's a close or split decision. But
How'd you score
go
that
ahead,
fight?
Boston J.
How'd you score that fight? Because I knew this shit was gonna come up. I have my scorecard for that fight right here. How did you score that fight?
I didn't score the fight.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad this came up because I knew that shit was gonna come because they were fighting in Los Angeles and there was a bunch of Mexicans in there. That fight was not close. It was a competitive fight. I did not think it was. I have Fulton winning that fight 116 to 112, and I got my rounds right here.
So that's 8-4, right?
That's an 8-4 fight. To me, that's if you think that's a close
that's
fight.
8-4 with competitive. So if you think about 1 or 2 rounds here,
Fair enough. Okay,
right,
fair enough.
right, you know what I'm saying? So like 8-4 is very close unless the rounds are very decisive.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. But I had that scored 112, 116 to 112. I missed the days when Harold Letterman, before every single fight, would break down the rules of scoring: clean, hard punching, effective aggression, ring generalship, defense. And whenever I hear these, the ringside, the network commentators talking about and they're evaluating rounds, I always hear that whenever they evaluate these Mexican fighters, they always talk about how busy they are, how busy they are. Being busy is not a scoring criteria. You don't get credit for just coming forward, punching niggas on the ass and on the legs and shit. That
but
shit
there's a
don't
phrase
count.
that we're looking for, right?
Effective aggression.
Effective aggressive. I don't care if you're going forward. Some people have big heads and now then they can take some punches. But if you're just coming forward, taking punches, swinging and missing, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to give you credit for that. It's like, no, but
and
Stephen Fulton was doing that. If you're like,
was jacking that boy's
if
head
you're
up and
controlling
down
the real estate, yeah, like there's a difference in there.
Now I gave Figueroa credit for that because Figueroa came out. He not only controlled the pace in each round, but he dictated the real estate. I gave him credit for effective aggression, but I gave him no points for defense because apparently he is not taught defense. I didn't give him any points. I gave him very few rounds for effective aggression because I didn't see clean, hard shots. So clean, hard punching, effective aggression, and defense, those are 3 categories. It was very, very tough to give him any credit for that, any rounds. The rounds I gave Figueroa were, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think the 6th round, the 8th round, the 10th and the 11th. There were 2 rounds where he hurt Fulton. Yeah. I think he had hurt in Fulton hurt in 2 of those rounds. I gave him credit for those rounds. But to me, this was not I didn't see any controversy. I don't mean to monopolize the time here. I didn't see any controversy. Fulton impressed me. It was only the second time I've seen him fight. Fulton impressed me. Figueroa was naturally the bigger guy. And he was able to push him back at times. The pressure kind of got to him towards the end of the fight, but Fulton impressed me. So go ahead. I don't want to use up too much of everybody's time.
Yeah, man, I agree. I agree with Jarod. It was an impressive fight. The whole fight, it was an entertaining fight. Saturday was probably one of the best Saturdays we had in a long time when it comes to boxing. I actually almost forgot about the full fight until I was just changing the channel and it popped up on Showtime. And then I sat there and watched it, and it just was incredible.
Yeah,
excuse the background, but yeah, I don't think it was a robbery, but and when later on this month when we do fight of the year, this going to be a top 10. It was definitely one of those fights. So I understand where people could say he got robbed, but I agree that he was just sharper, he was cleaner. That goes with the argument that we had a couple of weeks ago when me and Jarod was saying scoring punches, you know what I'm saying, clean scale scoring punches versus punching in the arm. Like when we mentioned when Canelo does it, Canelo was doing it for like, I'm gonna bust you in your arms the first 1 through 5 rounds, but after the 6th round, your arm is gonna be down, so I can start knocking you out. But I didn't see that. It was just a wild punching you in the arm. But he was aggressive, and both of them were in excellent shape, and it was a great fight. But just one was more sharper than the other.
Coach?
And I really ain't got a whole lot of amplifying stuff on that from what Jarod and what Randy said, man. And I think it was key. You could see who was the more accurate and effective punch. Dude, it was just it wasn't hard, man. I mean, like you can always fuss and shout about robbery, and man, that dude was touching. He was touching clean. That's it, you know. So I'm going to kind of start watching this Fulton guy a lot more, man. I really won't track in on him too much, to be honest with you. But you know, I love the lighter fighters. I love those bantamweights, and you know, I love flyweights. I like those lighter fighters, man. You know, but he's definitely on my radar. I agree with Randy. This fight, yeah, I put it in the top 5, man. It was good. You know what I'm saying, in terms of fight of the year. But it's not my number 1 yet, though. To be honest with you, we'll talk about that later on. But there's some women out there that was rumbling, and right now I'm going with the ladies in terms, you know. But we'll talk about that later. But good fight, man. I think it was a great decision. And hey, Jarod, I'm sorry. Oh man, look. So I did not score it, and I normally literally write down all the scores every fight I watch. Man, I normally do that, but I didn't do it on this one. But it'd be cool, man, if we, you know, at least 2 of us or a couple of us start really scoring, and then come back and then just compare and see where we was at. I thought it was good, Jarod. So glad you did.
Yeah, and absolutely. And we'll kind of talk about, you know, as we expand, you know, our programming, little fight parties, a couple of wagers, and some, you know, little inside things, just kind of make it interesting. So
what y'all think is next for Fulton? Who you think next on the list for that 122?
Oh man, for Fulton, that division is not a division I'm super familiar with. I was thinking maybe Inoue, but Inoue is not there. There's a
yeah.
That is not a name that I don't think Fulton won't right now. That's exactly why I brought that up. I don't think he won't Inoue.
Well, I don't think Inoue is at that weight. You guys go ahead.
Yeah,
Pull up.
I don't think he's at that weight.
I'm
looking at it now, right now.
He's at 126 or 130.
Really?
Fulton's at 122. No, 126. 126. No, 122.
122.
Fulton's at 122.
No, Fulton's at 122.
Where's Inoue?
Either 126 or no, he's heavier.
No, I thought.
No, he's not 130. Come on.
No,
I thought he's around like 116. He's like,
yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, 118. My fault. He had 118.
Yeah. He's a small guy.
Oh,
so he'll have to
that might
come
be
up.
problems for Inoue going up.
Yeah, because this is a long, rangy boxer. Those are what give those short arm power.
So how's Akhmadaliev ranked number 1 with 10 fights? And Fulton is 2 with 20.
Say that one more time, Randy.
In the rankings, Fulton is ranked number 2.
Well, Fulton's got 2 belts. How is he ranked in another sanctioning body?
And according to ESPN,
oh, now you need to get off ESPN. Go to Boxing Scene.
I'm just saying, Akhmadaliev is ranked number 1 at 122.
Oh, he's ranked number 1 overall at 122.
Yeah, at 122.
Well, he was unified first, though.
Right?
Akhmadaliev was unified before Fulton was.
Okay. So
Akhmadaliev had the WBA and the IBF, and Fulton just now unified. So, I'm not gonna, you know, I mean, this guy Akhmadaliev was.
So I guess they need to fight each other. Next.
Yeah. They're the only 2. That's for undisputed at 122.
Yeah, it's natural. I mean, I think right now those are the things that have any kind of cachet. Is give me undisputed, like clean out the division, do all that, because a lot of these belts are just kind of ways for these sanctioning bodies to put fees on. You had to get paid. So,
So oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
move. So this was a fight I thought I really enjoyed the Ogawa versus Fuzal. Who I'm saying that right. So this was a kind of classic right-handed power puncher against the kind of slick boxing left-hander, and the power puncher seemed to come through. I really liked a lot of things in the fight. One thing that troubled me, I did a little bit of kind of research, and I did see that Ogawa had popped kind of not too long ago. And a lot of times when some of these fighters who come from other nations and they're doing that, and if a lot of their style is kind of predicated on this kind of physicality and activity and other things like that, it gives me a little pause. But
Who are you saying, Cam? Who was the guy that fought?
Ogawa,
What weight class?
so Ogawa is a bantamweight, so he is a unified. Excuse me, not bantam. I'm looking at NUI. So this was on the, I believe it was the right under it. Let me see when it's titled. He fought the South African. So
Right. What weight class?
Kenichi Ogawa, super featherweight. Also, that's a featherweight is 120. Is that 130? What featherweight is featherweight. No, featherweight is 126.
126.
So that's so super featherweight is 130. So he won at 130. So obviously with Kenichi. So this is Japan third rank. Kenichi Ogawa became the IBF super featherweight champion by beating second rate Azinga Fuzal of South Africa. It was a good fight. It was the, like I say, it was the kind of power punching right-handed fighter against the slick left-handed fighter. He dropped him at least 2 times, and with the win, Ogawa goes to 26-1 with one.
Ogawa.
Okay, Ogawa. Okay, thank you. Ogawa goes to 26-1 with 18 knockouts. And Fuzal drops to 15-2 with 9 KOs. I actually like that fight. I thought it was Ogawa actually is somebody who is not on a lot of people's radar this year. One of these kind of us no life boxing fans in there, but I think he has an opportunity to do something around that, at least make something interesting. He does have a flawed style in there, and I am when it comes to combat sports, I really do not play when it comes to popping and doing that. Like, this is easily the most dangerous sport out there, and when you give yourself any type of physical advantage that your opponent is not able to take it. Also able to take advantage of. I really do not have a lot of respect for that. There are, this is not an absolute thing. There are things that happen, but it does raise an eyebrow for me. So I'm not sure if anybody had opportunity to see the fight. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it because we do have a long slate to get to for this weekend. But if anybody has any comments,
everybody at 1:30 is puppy food for Shakur Stevenson. So I'm not this kid. Kid, enjoy that title while you can. Who is he aligned with promotionally? Is he with Ryzen, one of those Ryzen fighters like Inoue and Murata? A lot of those Japanese guys are aligned with Ryzen, and Ryzen has a working relationship with Top Rank. So that might be an easy unification opportunity for Shakur. That actually might be an interesting opportunity for Shakur to go over to Japan and fight. If this guy's a big deal over there, especially if a guy like Murata wins, which he may, I don't know. So, but yeah, no, enjoy that belt while he can. Go back home and whatever, get laid and get ready get ready to get that ass whooped. 130 that's a tough road to hoe. Plus, you got Chris Colbert lurking around at that weight class too.
I was just about to mention Chris.
You got Chris Colbert lurking around there. Even a guy like Oscar Valdez, as much as I am, lukewarm on Oscar Valdez, I mean, there's some tough fights at that division. I'm not super familiar with this guy, but nobody, I don't see anybody at 130 beating Shakur. So,
I can agree with that, but let me just
Chris Colbert called Stevenson out for next year. I want to see if that fight in particular.
Yeah, we'll see. With the boxing politics being what they are, and Colbert being a PBC guy, but he doesn't seem to really be in Al's good graces. Al's got the guys he seems to really like a lot, and the guys who he throws a scrap to here and there. And Colbert seems to be in that same doghouse that Gary Russell lives in, along with
Gary Russell's in his own house.
Yeah, and he is in his own house. But I mean, what I mean by that is that a fight that Al is willing to make? Maybe he will send Chris over there to fight Shakur. I don't know. We'll see.
So a little bit of history. So I didn't find it, but Kenichi Ogawa. So he actually beat Tevin Farmer for the IBF 130 title in December. This was last December, but he was stripped of that title because he tested positive for PEDs.
He beat Tevin Farmer?
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't Jojo Diaz that beat Tevin Farmer?
No, it says Kenichi Ogawa, who tested positive for a PD prior to his IBF 130-pound title victory over Tevin Farmer. So, yeah, positive.
Huh. I thought Tevin Farmer lost to Jojo Diaz and then retired.
So they probably took that off of his record, right? If he popped for it.
Maybe like Lamont Peterson with Amir Khan, I guess, was a chance to a no contest or something like that. Or
Exactly.
Don't bring that name up, man. Somebody in this panel get a little sensitive.
Hey.
oh shit. Well,
hey.
All right. So
Yep.
This weekend, and we can talk about it. So, right, Friday, we got Haney versus Diaz. Right. And that's gonna be on the Zone. I actually think this is a good fight. I think it's a good competitive fight. If things play out how they should be, it should be a bit of a stiff test for Haney, but something that his talent should be able to help him overcome. So let's, before we get into the other two fights, let's kind of get our thoughts and, if you will, your predictions on Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz for this.
Haney coming in with what, a 4-inch reach advantage? So if the game plan and he stick to the outside, jabbing to death, man, it should be an easy night. But Jojo brings that thump. He's a wild one, just like I said with Cambosa. Like Jojo, he can get in there and thump. But what the crazy thing is, and I just saw this on YouTube, his father learned how to be a trainer by watching YouTube. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But he has heart. He'll get in there and mix it up with you. But Haney, it's the cards already dealt this way, man. You got a 4-inch reach advantage. You know what I'm saying? Stay on the outside, plaster him all night. It should be easy.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, so I haven't watched a lot of my man Joe, right? Have not.
Of Diaz?
Right.
He's kind of been around for a minute. He was supposed to be one of the kind of next golden childs, and then they just kind of realized that his star
was on the Olympic team, Dave.
Yeah.
Go back and watch the Gary Russell fight and go back and watch the Tevin Farmer fight.
Yeah, so all right, so I'm not unfamiliar with him. Let me be clear. I'm saying I just ain't like watched him. He ain't been one that I'm solidly like watching and tracking on. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not totally with him. But so in terms of just like the prediction though, and just from and this is even limited in terms of what I have seen. I think when Haney fought, who was I can't pronounce the man's name. Linares.
Yeah, you
I
said
can't
it.
pronounce it.
Linares, the Venezuelan kid.
Linares.
So I am personally, I'm getting impressed with Haney's his boxing IQ increasing. I wasn't really like a solid fan of him, but this boy from the last couple of fights I saw has improved significantly. So I'm kind of gonna go with Randy in terms of, you know, if Haney boxed, use that reach, land that right hand. From the little bit that I have seen on this boy, I think Haney can stop this boy. I think Haney can stop this boy, and because I think that boy's aggressiveness gonna run him right into Haney's right hand. And I don't know, you know, he might not be a big, hard puncher, but this boy had enough daggone gaps in his game and approach and that aggressiveness to where I think Haney can slip that daggone straight right hand and brick hand in on this boy and possibly set Haney up for stopping this kid. I'll say ninth round, man. I'll say ninth round stoppage from Haney.
All right. So I'll give mine and then we'll let Bosston J give us final. So with Haney, so I was checking. So he actually has a 7-inch reach advantage. So like a 71-inch versus a maybe is it inches or maybe it's like maybe I'm actually no, it's not. I'm looking. I think you're right. I might be looking in centimeters. But I haven't seen that much within Haney that I would say that he would stop Jojo Diaz, who is a former champion and a former Olympian. I think that Haney, because Jojo Diaz has been around a while, he's a little long in the tooth, even though he's not that old, but you can still be old in boxing age.
Right.
So I see a clear unanimous decision, but there's a possibility around the 10th or 11th round if Jojo is just catching too many just straight clean punches that they might just go ahead and stop it. That's my take on there. Bosston Jarod.
I'm gonna say a decision win. I might even say either a majority decision or a split decision win for Haney. I think that Diaz, with his pedigree and Diaz having fought the superior competition, having been in there with Gary Russell, having been in there with Tevin Farmer, I think he's savvy enough and cagey enough to make this an ugly fight. I think he might be able to steal some rounds early by landing big shots on Devin Haney. But yeah, I think Devin can outbox this kid, and I think that Devin has the quicker feet and the reach and the superior hand speed. It's going to be able to get to 7 rounds before Jojo Diaz can. I hope that Devin Haney is not content to just get on his bike all night, because Jojo is going to bring that pressure, and Jojo's got the skill to cut that ring off and really put Devin's his conditioning to the test. And if he gets tired, those last 3 rounds can be 3 really long rounds for Devin Haney. Because he's never really been he's gone the distance several times, but going the distance boxing and going the distance fighting, wrestling and grabbing and getting pushed around for 12 rounds, that's a different kind of 12-round fight. So we'll see. The smart money is on Devin, but I think he pulls us out. I say an ugly win for Devin Haney in a close, very competitive fight.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus. I do agree to the point that Jojo Diaz, his just experience and pedigree is gonna give Devin some tough moments. I have a hard time seeing him getting stopped, but I think part of it really goes back to that. Unless his corner makes a decision to really protect their fighter. So there is a possibility of that, I guess, because you could see him taking a lot of clean, straight punches. And like those are the most dangerous. The ones like the one punch knockout, I mean, those are the best ones because it's just but the ones where your brain is constantly rocked and they don't have, that's why when you see, you want to talk about, those deaths in the ring, it's usually in those lower weight classes because they throw a lot, but they really don't have enough power to put their opponent out. So let's there is another fight. It's an international fight. It's a rematch, but we won't kind of delve into that too much because I think we should give some time to the Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz. There's a lot that's kind of going around that fight, but there's some implications that it has not only for 135 and 140, but just for the boxing landscape in general. So I think that this is a interesting fight with Isaac Cruz. If you haven't seen some of his work, he's very crude, but he has a lot of heart. He's a strong will, has a pretty good chin, and is gonna be there. He's, to me, not near the class of somebody like a Tank Davis, so to speak. But there is going to be pressure for Tank to look impressive in this fight, regardless of the opponent. And the fact that the opponent is somebody that's beyond the, diehard boxing fans know. So this is really just a no-name opponent, somebody for him to have a great performance again. So the pressure is going to be on him. And when you have that, Isaac, Cruz just has to go out there and do what he's always done. I don't think the stage will be too big for him, but my assumption, I still think that he is flat. So I still will say a 9th or 10th round knockout. I think that Tank will come through, and unlike Teofimo, will not let this opportunity to put on a great performance slip through his hands. And I think that he will, in fact, do that. All right, the casual Rand, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree, but I say a little sooner, maybe like 7. It is the focus is not on really on this fight. It's everybody at that 135, 140, from 130 to 140 starting. The chess pieces are moving. So Kambosa called out Haney, and he's going to the Haney fight. But now the Kambosa's camp saying the real fight that they want is against Tank. So Tank needs to go out and handle his business and then set himself up for the next fight. So I think he'll come in focused, wanting to impress and just get him out of there.
Coach Dave, go ahead.
All right, so anybody that's looking at this cat, man, regardless of 22-1, all the stuff, just looking at this guy's fight style, man. I just didn't. I mean, and again, man, it's only and I'll go back and take a look at some more of the guys' fights, man. But I just didn't see. I think the guy tailor-made for Tank. The guy ain't gonna run nowhere. I didn't see a whole lot of mobility, a whole lot of I'm on my bike. You know what I'm saying? unless I'm missing something. And again, I didn't watch all of the guys' fights, but this cat, dude, I think he tailor made for Tank. So I'm gonna go with Randy, man. What round you pick, Randy?
It's 7.
7.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I said 9 or 10. Yeah, right.
Now, I think this. I'm telling you, man, this dude is tailor made for Tank, man. And I'm tempted to go a little bit earlier than even what Randy said, man. Be honest with you, bro. You know, Randy said, yeah, Randy said 7. Hey, look, man, I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna go with round 5, bro. Honestly, Tank starts, but because this guy ain't gonna be going nowhere running unless he tastes Tank power early, then he might dose, you know. But I give Tank 2 rounds, warm up, whatever, man. I'm saying I'm gonna go with 5, man. But round 5, but stop it.
All right.
Hey, look, one more thing. Let me do this. I real
No,
quick.
go ahead, coach.
So I just think I think we kind of sleeping on the progress that Haney made, man. And this cat that he fighting is a southpaw. I'm telling you, that boy gonna run into that right hand is what I'm thinking, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna go back to that. So what I say, Haney, what? Did I say 9th round or 10th round? I can't remember.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, right now, I'll talk about Haney. We'll have to go and look at the tape in there.
Okay,
But,
whatever round, I'm gonna stick with that.
You didn't call a round. I think you just said Haney you said Haney was gonna win.
Man, let me give it 9th round for Haney. 9th round for Haney, 5th round for Tank.
Bosston Jarod.
Oh, what?
Tank. Yeah. So he got it. So we talk about Tank.
Let me first start by saying that this is a dog shit fight. This is a horrendous fight, and that this fight is the embodiment of everything that is wrong politically and business-wise with the sport of boxing. The fact that they had the nerve to put this fight on pay-per-view also is beyond me. Like, especially given the guys that raised their hands to take this fight. Why are we watching this kid who is probably a top 3 or 4 pound for pound guy fight a guy that most of us have never heard of? I've watched this kid fight one time. I watched him fight Diego Magdaleno. And if people know him, it's probably and Francisco Vargas. I think I saw the Francisco Vargas fight too. This is absurd. I almost don't even want to dignify this fight with a prediction. If it weren't for me doing this show, I would not watch this fight. I'd straight up honest with you, I'll be watching Patriots Bills on Sunday night. This is a horrendous fight. Tank by murder sometime in the first 4 rounds. Like, why? It's horrendous. And I think it behooves us having this platform. Hold on one second, Dave. I think it behooves us as people who are on the platform now to be able to point shit out. I know people like to just stick to what goes on in the ring and just always want to see the fight, but it's more to the sport than that. I mean, these types of fights should not happen. This should be a voluntary or maybe a mandatory. If Tank had a real belt and he had a mandatory, I could see him fighting Isaac Cruz and then putting it on pay-per-view. LA, great location because it's Mexican. This should not be a fight as boxing fans that we are forced to watch. Definitely not pay for. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, okay, all right. So I don't think it's gonna happen in the first round because I think too. Now I'm going back. I'm gonna go back to the same thing that where you start, Jarod. That Crawford was just gonna walk through daggone Porter, man. Look, say what you want to say. Even in that fight, this is why I'm saying I think the guy is tailor-made for Tank. Even like in that fight that you mentioned, I mean that boy was digging to the body. He was punching that boy. I can't even pronounce the man's name that he ended up stopping to do. But I'm saying that controlled aggression, and it wasn't wild shots. It was selective shots. If you go back and watch that fight, and Cruz left his head on the line as he was digging, but those are punches that Tank must respect. Tank must respect those punches that's coming, which I think that once Tank gets into the flow of this guy's extreme body attack that Cruz gave in all the fights that I've watched, Tank got to watch it. I look for a doggone uppercut, lead uppercut, possibly from Tank that could get him out. But to match that right at the beginning, if he comes out like that towards Tank, I think Tank is a smarter fighter than that, man, because you are more likely susceptible to get caught by that crazy shit when somebody is fresh and tight with it. You're more like, so Tank, I can see him catching and just, maybe even let the dude throw that shit off for the first round. Tank might even let it throw it off, but then to come back and see really where to slip that guy's at. I don't know about a first round stoppage from Tank, man. And I'm just simply saying that because Tank is looking at this boy. This boy punches hard and he punches often. And I think Tank gonna take some time to feel that joker out. But I think so. But going back to the point of why we want to pay for this fight. Okay, look, Rolly. What's the difference? Tank would have kicked Rolly's ass.
Rolly was even worse fight. I give Isaac Cruz that.
Yeah, this is an upgrade from
This
that.
was definitely an upgrade.
Right.
This is an upgrade.
Tank would have kicked Rolly's ass. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I don't even look at the fights with or hope for the fights with emotions. I'm just like, who willing to get in the ring, right? And it's gonna always be that political stuff. And so you're 100% right on that, man. You're 100% right on that. But this guy, though Tank might beat him, Tank's gonna stop this joker. But that first round with Jarod, man, if he get him first round, bro, if Tank get this cat first round, Tank's a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you $50, bro.
Oh,
You're gonna give me? I'm not even betting you anything. You think so? I guess, Davis, is the point you're making is that this guy is a credible opponent, and this is a pay-per-view worthy fight. Is that what you're trying to
not at all.
Yeah, I'll say anything involving Tank. Anything
fight
is a pay-per-view fight.
Why? At least fight of champion or former. So the fact that they thought that him fighting Rolly, whatever his name is, to me that was embarrassing. Like, to me, this is an upgrade to make it seem a little bit suitable. That was a fight that was something that you would see that is made strictly off of social media, that are people, it has no implications for boxing as a community. I don't know why people.
Neither does this.
Like, I was embarrassed. Like, for some reason, when I heard the Romero guy talking, I was like, this guy might be slow.
And Tank looked like he was a little bit embarrassed to even be up there.
He was, man. That was really embarrassing.
Like, why am I up here with this dude? He wouldn't even look at him. He wouldn't even talk to him. Like, why am I up here? And it's Floyd and Leonard, man. It's Floyd and Leonard, and it's Uncle Al feeding us doo-doo, putting whipped cream on it, and telling us it's a chocolate sundae, man. It's not.
Hey, look, it's not, bro. But still, you wanted to see Tank get that mouth. Period. You want to see Tank whoop that ass.
Maybe, on pay-per-view, and so, the charge people that's kind of. But we said that. So at the Coach J, we actually are at our limit, but we're gonna give the casual Rand the last word after you, Dave. Though, but go ahead and give your thoughts on this fight.
Right. I'm just saying, man, look, you can say what you want to say. The days of Muhammad Ali 15 rounds and all that shit is gone. The days where we grew up with this fight game. So at the end of the day, bottom line, you can blame whoever you want to blame it on, but you now you must incorporate the whole business aspect in there. But anything dealing with Tank, let his fans who want to see him fight pay that money. So I'm saying it's might not be the fight, but Tank, I want to go see this cat fight. I want to see this guy fight. So we are not going to be able to escape the days when let's just fight. When nobody won't duck and nothing, it won't nothing but one belt, the world belt. We won't making up belts. Them damn days is gone, man. Them days is gone.
Yeah. And one point before I throw it to Rand is that, but you also remember the legend and all that, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, they used to fight on ABC on Saturday. I remember that. That was that's a whole different thing when you asking us to pay.
Yeah, but nobody's going to take Al. Nobody's gonna let Al. Al just got booted off of Fox. He tried on network television. They booted him off network television. Nobody wants to deal with this guy. You're paying these guys exorbitant amounts of money. You're paying guys like the Charlo brothers millions of dollars to fight nobody. Who wants to do? And the overhead to put on these events are crazy. Did you know that? I got a friend of mine that works over at Fox Sports. Did you know that PBA bowling was outperforming PBC boxing? PBA bowling was outperforming boxing on a regular basis, and it cost them $50,000 to put on a bowling event, and the sponsors come flooding in because everyone likes it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
NASCAR on a down year, NASCAR was killing boxing. Make the fights. There's no reason why we should have to watch this fight. Regis Prograis, there's no title here. He's not fighting for a real belt. Put him in there with Prograis at 140. That's a much better fight. That's a much better fucking fight. That's about in-house fight. I'm not even talking about cross-promotional fights.
Boston Jarod,
in-house fights.
But like, let's let the casual Ray end the show for us.
I guess I'm gonna be the ray of sunshine to Jared's little
diatribe, whatever.
Diatribe, man. I honestly believe that boxing is taking a turn. Like the last 2 years, COVID, but now over the last 2 months, you know what I'm saying, ever since the heavyweights went at it, every week or every 2 weeks, we have entertaining fights. I'm not saying the Tank fight is going to be an entertaining fight. It could be an entertaining fight, but the matchup is suspect. But at least they're in the ring now fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if we can keep that up, man, I think the sport is going to get back to where we started loving the sport. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not down on it, and I'm not saying that like last year it looked bleak. Boxing looked bleak. Like nobody wanted to fight anybody, and they wanted $10 million just to show up. But now I think the dust is settling. I think with Teofimo losing, I think whoever Camboso's going to choose for hopefully by the spring of next year, that fight is a top-notch fight. We got the Charlos, the rematch for the Charlos, you know what I'm saying? And then I guess Andretti, I hope he releases his belt and go up to 168 and where he can battle out with Benavidez or Charlo. You know what I'm saying? We there's so much potential that we have going out in the future. I'm not down on the sport. I think the promotions, you know what I'm saying, with PBC, they had the issue with the fighters not wanting to fight, but they still going to have to put on an event. So I think with time that will clear itself out, and the 2 or the 3 promotional companies that we have will start putting on better products. I'm not looking at the headliners. I'm dying for the days of the co-main event being just almost as good as the main event, or where the way Mayweather used to do it, be like, I'm putting on a main event, but my co-main event, the winner of that co-main event, I'll be fighting next. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense to me, and I hope that's the way boxing turns to eventually. But like I said, I'm hopeful.
How many buys y'all think this does?
Less than Crawford.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna like get into the buys and stuff. But I think Tank's fans and his fans are just gonna get it. It might not be up high and stuff, man. But I just think this fight is gonna be a much more interesting fight than people are giving this thing credit for, man. Like when I say this guy is it's almost like it ain't necessarily Tank fighting his reflection, but to a degree it is. If the guy, you know, but the guy loves to rumble and bang on his inside, man. And you know, he got a good chance of catching Tank if Tank just stands there and super duper rumbles. But at the same time, man, you know, I'm looking for some head movement from Tank. But this is gonna be, I think it's gonna be a pretty good fight, bro. I think it really is gonna be a pretty good fight. That's going, you know, I mean, when Tank fought Santa Cruz, people, you know, Santa Cruz is longer, Santa Cruz gonna box him, Tank can't get on the inside. Tank got on the inside and dropped this fool. So here it is now. Now you got somebody that's gonna be pressing Tank just as much, you know. And Tank, what you gonna do with somebody that somewhat resembles you? Tank don't hurt this boy, I believe, man. But it's gonna be a good fight, regardless of what you do. I think it's gonna be a good fight. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If Tank dropped this boy in the first round, yeah, man, Jerry, I'm giving you $50, bro.
I will come back and I'll give Isaac Cruz his props if this ends up being a good fight.
If he
I think, yeah,
I'll come back. I'll give Isaac Cruz his props. I'll give Isaac Cruz his props. I still don't think this is a pay-per-view fight, and there are half a dozen other fighters we could have seen Tank in that I would have paid for to watch him fight other than Isaac Cruz.
One last thing too, Cam, because this is again where I'm trying to go back to getting folks to take a holistic approach. All right. When you in fight camp, dude, I don't care who you fighting. When you fighting and you're studying, dude, you regardless of how much he might have walked through, you know, the dude, Rolo, whatever, that's who you training for. So if I'm a trainer and I'm a coach and that shit drops, then let me not just look for somebody that I got to change my whole mindset. Let me see somebody that might can be entertained and then go get. That's the part of fight plan and fight strategy that me as a coach or me as a manager got to take. It ain't about us as a spectator. You just all fucking emotions. And then not taking a holistic approach at that fight game. And Cam could probably talk to that. You've been training for one guy, now you drop. So now you just want to take half a camp and try to pull somebody for that fight date. Come on, Cam. You get what I'm getting at. So you got to find.
Yeah.
Wasn't he just beating up Porter? He was beating up
of
Sean Porter
emotion.
2 weeks ago, wasn't he? Wasn't Tank beating up Sean Porter 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, it was sparring.
Yeah, come on, man.
But at the same time, there's a lot. You have to kind of change your motivation and psyche. For Tank, I don't think it'll be that big of an issue. So there's a difference if you're fighting somebody who's like a Lomachenko, who's like a unified champion, and then he gets hurt and you fight a lesser opponent. He actually gets an upgrade, which I think will help. The only reason that I don't think it'll be that fast is that people call Tank the baby Mike Tyson. I think that's a misnomer, not because he doesn't like the power, but I think that he's more of a boxer than people give credit. Tank actually takes his time. And the thing is just like once he sees an open, he strikes so hard that it's sudden and then it's just night. But he's gonna take his time, so he's gonna do that. So I think that he's not somebody that's gonna do a Lopez. Lopez was so embarrassing. If you watch the first round, the guy was trying to punch Camboso so hard, he was like biting his like lip or whatnot. You know how you like you could like see it, and it just showed his immaturity. Tank will not do that. Tank's gonna look at him. He's gonna look at that embarrassment. So when people have an opportunity to make a statement, right? So it's like, look at what Crawford did, and then look at what your boy who had a way lesser opponent. He's doing that. So Tank is smart. He's gonna take those lessons. He has somebody in his corner, and Mayweather who might not give you the best decision as far as kind of life. When it comes to structuring your kind of boxing career and like image and doing that, you should listen to him. So he's gonna be in his ear. He's gonna say, you need to take opportunity. He's gonna make sure he's in shape, and Tank is gonna perform. I think Cruz is just has a lot of heart. This is his golden ticket right here. So he is gonna give everything. I think that's just gonna help him last. But the guy's gonna be he's gonna be waking up at some point.
Dave, can you get into what happened with Barry Hunter and Calvin Ford, or is that not for the internet?
No.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, let's go ahead and answer. So I think this is good. So we are tentatively going to host. I'm going to get everything together. I'll send it out. But my goal is to have our host our first watch party with the Haney and Diaz. I'll send out details. So for those watching, we'll provide the links on this page. And if you can be there, please join us. We'll have a Zoom link, and we'll try to find a way. I know there might be some copyright things, so we'll try to do it, but we'll all be on here. We might not be able to kind of broadcast the fight out, but I'll get with the Pundits of Pugilism, and we'll see. But just know that next week we will be here, and we're signing off. We got Coach Dave. You're on mute. Yeah, he's that. All right, and we got Bosston Jarod. Yes, sir. You got to get that in. We got Bosston Jarod. Don't forget the S. And we're gonna end with my man, what I think one of the best media names out there for boxing, the Casual Ran. So go ahead and take us out for this week, man.
All right, man. Good episode, man. This is episode 3. It's the holidays, so bless y'all and see y'all next week.
Peace out.